Hi and welcome to today's reading. Thank you to those of you who are returning and welcome to this space for anyone who's new. My name's Jenny, I'm an intuitive channeler and I'll just let you quickly know how my messages come through and then we'll dive straight in. So they come through as a series of words, phrases, sometimes little scenarios played out in my head, and then what I do is I back it up and clarify using tarot. Okay, so we'll dive straight in. So the first channeled message that had come through today was a little phrase, and it said, "with a wonderful tender view." So I just get the impression that you are starting to look at things through a fresh pair of eyes, is what it feels like, from a different perspective. So something that you perhaps saw as a nuisance or a problem in the past, you're now seeing it in a different way and thinking, I don't know, something like perhaps I've learned from that experience, seeing how much it's actually brought to your life. Okay, so it's almost like there's an opening of the heart. It feels like a kind-hearted and tender, almost nostalgic sort of feeling. It's sort of feeling like it's pulling back to a childhood innocence sort of thing of, you know, how we discover the world, seeing things from a childlike state is how it's feeling. So yeah, with a wonderful tender view. Now when I drew the cards for this particular message, I got the Moon and the Queen of Wands. Okay, so I think it kind of like sums up what I've just been saying really. The Moon is all about, you know, things being hidden from us, things not being entirely obvious. So it could be that the way that you have been looking at something that's happened, or something that's in your life at the moment, the meaning of it has been hidden. You know, it's like, why is this happening to me? What am I gaining from this experience? It's, you know, it's it's kind of been hidden, and the Moon invites you to step back into feeling and into intuition, because sometimes when you think about things logically, the clarity isn't there, you know, because we can end up overthinking things, or our thoughts and feelings aren't necessarily our own because we've, you know, outsourced our decisions sometimes, or, you know, asked people's advice about things, or, you know, somebody is projecting their own thoughts and feelings onto a certain situation. So it can muddy the waters sometimes. So the Moon is saying, pull back to what feels right, and take action from what feels right. So it might be that the path ahead isn't entirely clear, but we just take one step at a time. And as we do, the path becomes illuminated. And the Queen of Wands is also about embodying intuition and moving forwards with confidence. So I think whatever this change in perspective is that you've just had, this looking at something with a wonderful tender view of it, it's switched you from not knowing to being confident in knowing, if that makes sense. So if this is resonating, pop a comment in below to how this is playing out in your life at the moment, or has done recently. Okay, so they're the cards that I got for that. Now, the next channeled message that came through was just a single word, and it's a word that I've only recently come across actually, and I absolutely love it. The word is sonder, and it means to acknowledge that every person is the main character in their own life, and everybody has their own shit going on. So when I looked it up, you know, it gave examples of, like, if you're in traffic and someone cuts you up, the temptation is to be like, how dare you do that, you know, you jerk, or whatever. But it might be that they've got somewhere important to be. They're getting to the hospital to someone who's seriously ill, or, you know, they're late for a presentation they're about to do. You just never know what's going on in that other person's life. So the word sonder is a call to reflect on the fact that people aren't out to be annoying to us. You know, they're not there to be causing an inconvenience to us. They have their own life that they are leading, and you're only a secondary part in that, if a part at all. And I think that ties really nicely back in with the first message about, you know, looking at something with a wonderful, tender view. It's like looking at a situation where you can see things differently because you're seeing things from the point of view of another person, perhaps, or looking at the fact that, yeah, actually they had their own crap going on at that moment in time. You know, and it just, again, it opens your heart up to be more compassionate towards others and not get yourself in such a tiz if someone's done something to upset you in any sort of way. I'm not excusing bad behaviour here, by the way, it's just having an understanding and awareness. Okay, now when I drew the cards for my phrase of Sonder, I got the Queen of Swords in reverse and the King of Wands. Now the Queen of Swords, when she's upright, she speaks her mind and speaks her truth. So I think for her to come out in reverse, I think again it's feeling a little bit like a judgment sort of thing, is this. It's like the temptation is to be judgmental about something that somebody else has got going on, you know, and speaking your truth about it isn't necessarily the best thing, because whatever they've got going on is personal to them. And this might be the other way around as well, where you've got your own thing going on and somebody else's clarity is their own clarity about it, you know. And then the King of Wands, he is clear in his direction and takes action to move forwards, but from a place of knowing and from a place of intuition. So it's tying really nicely back in with the Queen of Wands and the Moon card that we drew earlier, is that it's almost like by hiding things away, by turning off the noise of logic and overthinking and other people's opinions and, you know, all of that noise, turning it all off, you know, so that their things are hidden from you, all of that is hidden from you, so that you are only trusting in your intuition. That's how we are best able to take action and move forwards, but doing so in a way that is compassionate to all. Yeah, I'm getting that there's somebody else involved in this, that you kind of, I don't want to use the word villain because that sounds a bit harsh, but yeah, I mean, perhaps you've sort of like been in a bit of a victim mode and just putting all the blame about something onto somebody else or onto something else. And actually, when you've looked at it from a different perspective, or looked at it from their perspective, from Sonder, you know, that's what's actually helping you to move past this blockage and feel your way forwards rather than using logical mind. A bit of a cryptic one, this, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, it's just all about, yeah, I think the King of Wands actually is a leader as well, isn't he? So leading by example. Yeah, that's what's coming through as well. You'll see this with me as well, the little insights dropping as I'm doing this. So you're leading by example and showing that you can have compassion for others. It then leads, you know, it's like a ripple effect, isn't it? If that's what you're doing, then other people can have a compassionate outlook for other people. And it's, you know, if this is what we're teaching our children about as well, it's, I don't know, it just feels like we're on the cusp of something really magical here, in people just having a lot more understanding about what other people have going on. I don't know, but I think it's, whatever it is, it's going to help you to move forwards with something. So if you're feeling a little bit like you're in the dark about something, it's just about taking that next step based on your intuition, basically. Okay, very, very short, sweet message. It's even shorter than the short ones I've been doing. Now what I will say is that my messages don't reach that many people, so if you've clicked on this today, there's likely something in here that was meant to find you, and whatever that is, please pop it in the comments below. I do like to see that. If it's resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon so that you get notified anytime I send something new out. And if you feel called to support my work, I have a Buy Me a Coffee link down below. And there's also links to my website. And I mentioned before that I'm an intuitive channeler. I'm also an intuitive healer, so I do have some one-to-one sessions available, so have a look there. Okay, thank you very much for joining me in this space today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.